Store prices change before your paycheck does, on purpose. Once you see who moves first and why, you won't shop the same way again. You grab the same carton of eggs, the same cereal, the same coffee, and it's not just a little more. It's more again. Meanwhile, your paycheck hasn't budged. You feel it at the gas station when the sign flips twice in one afternoon. You feel it when your landlord announces next year's rent in a letter that arrives before your annual review. It's like the economy is sprinting while your income ties its shoes. Why does everything you buy react instantly and the money you earn reacts slowly? That gap isn't an accident. It's a system with two clocks. One clock belongs to prices. It ticks daily, sometimes hourly. The other clock belongs to wages. It ticks on annual budgets, contracts, and awkward meetings. And until you understand whose clock runs faster, you keep playing catch-up. Let's make it personal. Meet Lena, who owns a small bakery on the corner. You buy her cinnamon roll every Friday. Last fall, her flour supplier emailed her. Shipping fuel surcharges are up, and the next month's contract resets higher. She still has flour in the back for a few weeks, but she knows the next shipment will cost more. So she raises the cinnamon roll price now. Not after the new flour arrives, now. Why? Because she has to replace inventory at higher prices and keep the lights on. Meanwhile, your boss is thinking about raises in November for January. HR set compensation ranges in the spring. Nobody in your office can flip a number on a shelf tag overnight. Two clocks, same economy, and the faster one sets the pace. But here's the twist. Prices don't just move because costs changed. They move because costs will change. Retailers and suppliers don't price yesterday's box of pasta. They price tomorrow's replacement. Economists call it replacement cost, and it hits you in the dairy aisle before payroll catches up. When diesel jumps by 30 cents this week, freight companies raise rates. Wholesalers pass that through on next month's invoices. The grocery chain sees the email on Monday and loads a new price file on Wednesday night. And your store's digital tags switch before you get there Saturday morning. Your paycheck doesn't have a Wednesday night file. Think about gas stations. They buy fuel at a wholesale price that tracks oil futures in real time. If crude jumps this morning on news from a refinery shutdown, the wholesaler adjusts the rack price by the afternoon. The station manager updates the sign because they'll refill the tanks at the new cost. That's why you see the numbers wiggle midweek and even midday. Your salary doesn't wiggle midday. It waits for the next review cycle because changing it is administrative, political, and permanent. And this is where things get interesting. Retailers are built for speed. They run pricing software that watches competitors, scans costs, and takes instructions from managers who live in weekly rhythms. Ad cycles. Start Wednesday. Promotions flip Thursday. Tags change overnight. They can push a button. Your employer, on the other hand, has wage grids, equity bands, performance calibrations, and budget approvals. Changing a price is reversible. Changing your base pay is sticky. Most companies fear lowering wages. It crushes morale and invites turnover, so they move less often. Prices are flexible. Wages are sticky. Flexibility wins the race. Here's what nobody tells you. A surprising chunk of price changes aren't about costs at all, they're about expectations and power. If a brand believes it has room, because competitors moved first, because demand is hot, because consumers seem numb, it takes price now to defend margins later. In 2022, a dozen eggs spiked when avian flu culled flocks, but some packaged foods raised prices far beyond raw input increases because shelves were empty and shoppers had fewer choices. Meanwhile, wages rose, but slower. You felt the gap every checkout. Remember Lena's bakery? Her flour cost rises, sure, but so do her credit costs. When the Federal Reserve raised rates in 2022 and 2023, the interest on her credit line jumped right away. She pays more to float inventory instantly. She responds instantly. Your mortgage or rent might adjust only once a year, but your boss's cost of capital resets this afternoon, and that pressure flows into prices long before it flows into your pay. Wait, it gets stranger. Prices don't just rise, they morph. Shrinkflation is the quiet cousin of price hikes. The bag of chips loses 1 ounce. The roll of paper towels sheds a few sheets. Same price, less product. That move shows up faster than a raise because it's an overnight packaging swap at the shelf, while your compensation structure still hums on last year's assumptions. There's also skimpflation. Slower service, fewer staff, earlier closing times. The price tag stays, but quality drops. The merchant protects margin right now. The household absorbs the difference until the next paycheck, if one comes. Most people think greedy companies just wake up greedy, but greed by itself can't flip a digital shelf tag. The mechanism is built in. Price files update overnight. Promotions end on set dates. Algorithms monitor rivals and tweak pennies every hour online. Even in stores without digital tags, the yellow sale stickers change on a weekly ritual. Entire teams wake at dawn to re-tag aisles. Your pay doesn't have a weekly ritual. It has a fiscal calendar. Here's the part that changed everything for me. The economy runs on staggered contracts. Your rent renews once a year. Your phone plan is a 2-year lock. Your streaming service can reprice next month. Your employer has annual HR cycles. Producers sign monthly or quarterly supply deals. So shocks, fuel, wheat, shipping, interest rates hit different parts of your life at different speeds. The fastest adjusters move first. They shape your perception of inflation long before the slow adjusters catch up. Let me show you a simple chain. A storm shuts down a major refinery. Futures jump today. Wholesale gasoline rises tomorrow. Your station changes the sign tonight because the tanker coming Tuesday is already more expensive. Trucking companies pay more for diesel next week and add fuel surcharges. That lifts the delivered cost of groceries in 3 weeks. The chain's pricing team bumps shelf prices on items that aren't in the ad next Wednesday. You notice in 2 Saturdays. You ask for a raise in 6 months. That lag, the time between the first price you see and the income catch-up you hope for, is the treadmill. But there's a catch. Not every price is equally quick. Retailers protect the items you notice the most: milk, eggs, bananas, bread. They're called key value items. Stores often keep those artificially low to preserve their price image while quietly raising the salsa, the spices, the freezer dinners. You feel like the store is fair because the milk looks stable, but your basket total creeps. That's not an accident. It's strategy, and because it's subtle, it moves without a fight. Remember when you saw the gas price drop and your neighborhood cafe didn't lower latte prices right away? You're not imagining things. Prices go up faster than they come down. That's because raising is easy. Costs, fear, or expectations justify it. Cutting is risky. If you lower and competitors don't, you look cheap without gaining customers. And if you lower but costs bounce back, you retrain customers to expect discounts. So businesses watch, wait, and hold. Wages work the same in reverse. They're slow to go up and almost never go down. You might be thinking, okay, but is there anything you can do besides sigh in the aisle? Yes. The trick is to use the clocks. If store prices change weekly, plan your purchases on the store's calendar, not yours. Find your grocer's price change day. Many chains load new tags mid-week, Wednesday or Thursday. That means weekend shoppers face the freshest increases. If you can shop the day before price files flip, you ride last week's prices. And stock up on non-perishables during the ad cycle you trust, not when you feel the pinch. But here's the twist you can use against inflation. Promotions work in cycles, often 6 to 8 weeks for packaged goods. If coffee is half off now, it likely will be again in about 6 weeks. Buy enough to bridge until the next cycle. Read the unit price, not the sticker. When sizes shrink, the unit price reveals the real increase. House brands, owned by the retailer, often lag national brand increases for a few weeks because their contracts update later. That's your window. If you hear news that an input is about to spike, like a drought hitting wheat or a hurricane threatening refineries, pre-buy the things tied to that input before the store reacts. Flour and pasta before wheat spikes, gas up before a region-wide increase, detergent or diapers before a known brand price announcement hits shelves. You're not hoarding, you're shifting your purchase to beat the faster clock. Now let's talk about your paycheck clock. Raises happen when budgets open, not when you feel the squeeze. That means you ask early. Don't wait for inflation to show in your bank account. Use lead indicators. Producer prices often move before consumer prices. When producer prices rise in your industry, gather your impact, commute costs, childcare, health premiums. Come to your manager 2 to 3 months before the fiscal year closes with a clear case and a number. You're aligning with the only moment your wage tag can flip. And this is where you gain control. Fix what prices can't chase. Lock in rates where possible. Annual gym membership instead of monthly, if you use it. Prepay for a year of software before the announced increase date. Negotiate a 2-year lease if you plan to stay. Ask for smaller, more frequent adjustments instead of one big jump. Choose a fixed-rate loan for big purchases when rates are rising. And pay down variable rate debt first, because that bill reacts to the Fed faster than your boss reacts to you. Watch signals. When the Federal Reserve changes rates, the first thing to move is credit card APRs and home equity lines. Days, not months. If you carry a balance, your cost climbs now. If oil prices spike today, expect a higher gas sign this week and food distribution costs in weeks. If a major brand announces price increases on an earnings call, yes, they say it out loud, that often shows up on shelves after the next promotional window closes. This isn't guessing. It's reading the clocks. Remember Lena's cinnamon roll? 6 months after her price change, your raise finally hits. It feels good, but something else happened. The bakery's flour cost fell back a little, yet the cinnamon roll didn't return to the old price. Why? She swallowed wage increases for her staff, locked in a higher rent, and replaced her oven at a higher interest rate. Her new baseline is higher. Your paycheck clock caught up, but the price clock went around again. That's not a conspiracy. It's compounding. So here's your advantage. Build a small buffer, 2 to 3 months of core expenses, so the fast clock can't knock you off balance before the slow clock catches up. Automate savings on payday because your future self is the only one who raises your wages on your schedule. Move recurring purchases to subscription only if the price is fixed and you can cancel before increases otherwise. Subscriptions become the store's way to push their clock onto your card. You're not powerless in the aisle. You're early or late. Use alerts for favorite items and track unit prices in a simple note so you know when a sale is fake. Buy generic when national brands spike first. Consider buying in different price zones. Some chains charge more in urban stores than suburban ones. A short drive once a month for a big shop can beat the weekly creep. And when you can't avoid a higher price, change the quantity. Cook once, freeze twice. One change in the kitchen outcompetes 5 cents on a shelf tag. Store prices change before your paycheck because their clock is built to move fast and yours is built to move carefully. Now you can see the gears. You know where the signals start, how they travel, and where you can step in. Once you start timing your decisions to the right clock, pre-buying before hikes, negotiating before budgets, fixing costs where you can, you stop chasing and start choosing. The treadmill keeps moving, but you're no longer tying your shoes. You're setting the pace.